Today we're going to be finishing up on that case, CX350C down there. We had an auxiliary antenna go bad. This is the auxiliary antenna, and roughly about $2,700. Yep, and they've turned the exhaust away from the antenna, which is wise. That way I don't have to weld on a new mount. So we'll throw this on and see if it goes. So I noticed the last time I was here, these guys over tightened the antenna down, and I think the main is actually the same way, to the point where it came out of the antenna. It should be in the antenna, and they don't need to be that tight. Alright, let's see if she goes. Restart connection. It's got a brand new auxiliary antenna. Might have to factory reset. Main. Oh, we still don't have anything on auxiliary. Now let's go into true and check the values and see if we got anything. Secondary receiver checked, serial D connects to auxiliary. This cable, this whole cable system had voltage all the way out there. So you have to assume the antenna wasn't working. But then again, you hear me always say, you know, just because it has voltage doesn't mean it's a good cable. It's got to be able to pass the data. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Let's do a factory reset on it. Interesting. I'm gonna have to try a cable. It doesn't go after factory reset. We got main. And nothing. Nothing. So I disconnected the main, which is working, and I connected the auxiliary to the main. Let's see what we get. So it's now using the auxiliary as the main. Nothing, 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 nothing. Tell me that's a cable issue and it's passing voltage. God, I hate those situations, but it happens. I got a test cable run. Let's see. Let's get out of here. Status. Still nothing. With a brand new cable. Interesting. that's the main. Did I not hook that back up? Yes, I did. Main is hooked right back up. Auxiliary is connected. Huh. Huh, that is interesting. So we have antennas on the auxiliary, or satellites on auxiliary, but not main. It just swapped. Why did it do that? Oh, that is so weird. This is the main cable. This one is the auxiliary. Unless, did they have these hooked up wrong? Hold on. Did they have these hooked up wrong? Let me check. It's hard to tell. They're not marked back here. Alright, auxiliary, main. Yellow is main. Auxiliary is black. Restarted connection. Nothing on main. Satellites on auxiliary. Oh, this is so strange. What in the world? Alright. Oh my goodness. Alright, so I knocked off the adapters. I mean, they look fine, but knocked off the adapters, put on a straight cable adapter. Let's see if we can get satellites on the main. We weren't getting satellites on the auxiliary. Now we are. And now we're not getting them on the main. So why did it flop? Nothing on main. We got good values on auxiliary. Oh, that is so weird. That is so weird. So I'm changing out the auxiliary cable just as a good control measure, because no matter what, we have not been able to get the GPS to work today off of this GPS cable. Only on my test cable. And strangely enough, it comes down in this main straight cable right here, this end ends right there, and it connects to a smaller coaxial cable, which could be an issue. So I'm just going to remove it completely and run the right cable that was supposed to be in here, the longer one, and test it and see what happens. Still, for some reason, when you get one side working, it knocks the other side, so it doesn't work, which is strange. Still got to figure that out. So I'm putting it back together, because what I found, what I thought was the auxiliary cable, because it's connected in the MCI4 as the auxiliary cable, actually goes to the main antenna. And the auxiliary is connected to the main on the MCI4. Somebody was playing with those, and that will cause that issue. So the only way to tell is to trace the wires, check them along the way, make sure nothing's bad. Alright, 2 days of fussing with this machine to learn that this is actually the auxiliary. It's not in the right port. So after the first day, I got them green. Somebody had switched these. Why, I don't know. That's what brought me back to yesterday, the second day, where I tested the cable. It had voltage. Sure enough, it would have voltage as long as it's attached and voltage is coming out. So that would assume that the cable is good. So I assumed, because the cable was good, that it needed a new auxiliary antenna. What I didn't assume is that they had switched these cables around. So if you run into the problem where it's knocking one off, only auxiliary's working or only main is working, somebody might have been playing with these, switched them around. So, and that's the way it goes right there. We're gonna call that thick cable on auxiliary, thin cable on main, blue adapter on main for this one. And I'm actually gonna mark those, do not touch. So let's go in, let's restart connection, and hope that it goes, because the only way to find that is to actually trace the cables. It's still taking a while. Let's see. There's nothing on main. We have auxiliary. And still nothing on main. Interesting. So let me run a test cable to main. And there we go. That's a test cable to the main antenna. So it is the main antenna cable that's bad. And here all along I've been testing the auxiliary cable, thinking it was the auxiliary cable that was bad, or the auxiliary antenna that was bad, and easy as can be, it was the main. It's supposed to be the main. It was just knocked out, it just reversed. So and that created a whole big issue where only one side would work, and it wasn't the right side. and I guarantee you this is the problem, because somebody used a short cable, a thin cable, instead of using the thick cable. So what I'll do, I'll run a new cable. I'll reroute this one to the main, and that'll be it. Alright, new main cable connected. So what they had the main cable, this end out there, and it was like a 4, 5, almost 5 feet long adapter cable, this thin one. They can't be that long. And you see I marked this one yellow for the main, and they were swapped. I guess, you know, learning moment for me is to, if I ever encounter this issue again, is just swap these and see if it goes green. That would probably been the wise thing to do, but I had assumed they were correct because I was just out here and I had the system green. Somebody swapped these. Now, that could be one of two things. One, sabotage, which I've seen a lot of. These older guys don't want to work on GPS. They don't want to work with it. So they go ahead and they cause an issue so they don't have to work on it. They go use a different piece of equipment. Or two, they tried fixing it themselves somehow, which there wasn't a problem after the first day because I had it, it was green, everything was good. There shouldn't have been any issues. So what were they trying to fix? They over-tightened their antennas on the poles, and they had swapped these out. So they caused quite a bit of damage. And we had to run a new cable. So, alright, let's take a look. Because, you know, the system was slow. That I came out and did a wipe on this, put everything back in, had to factory reset the main side 3 times before it finally went. So there was some issue in that cable. That's why I changed out the cable. And then yesterday I was called out because they were red. Well, I troubleshoot and found it on the auxiliary side. And sure enough, it was the auxiliary side, because they had the bad cable side connected to the auxiliary, which led me to believe it was the auxiliary side. I checked the voltage on the cable, went all the way back, voltage is good, cable's good, and again, I remember what I said, just because that cable has voltage doesn't mean it's good, just means it has voltage. as with this main cable. It had voltage, but it wasn't reading good. It just wasn't transferring data like it should. So I went and got a new antenna last night, brought it this morning, put it on, 0 satellites on auxiliary. And then I finally went back there, started tracing the cables, and sure enough, they were wrong. Now, look at this. Perfect, right? Perfect. Now, why would anybody go and mess with this? I mean, it's got 15 out of 17 satellites, 15 out of 16 satellites. Let's do a restart and see how fast it goes. I think this was sabotage, honestly. What else could it be? I mean, the system is good. It works, and it worked the first day I fixed it. So to come back, there it goes. It may had a weak cable, and that's what they were trying to fix, trying to figure out, you know, what can I do? That's probably what it was. It was probably just the cable that was bad, you know, because it fires up a lot faster now, and it even has good satellites, where before it was only reading like 4 to 7 out of 12 or 13. This is updated firmware and everything, so you're going to get more satellites. So, awesome. All right, well, we're good. Interesting one. This one can go back to work.